This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. What I'm looking at today is 2022's Talk to Me, directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. And when I first heard about this movie, I was really interested in seeing it because it revolves around a group of friends who are using an embalmed hand to summon spirits. By my reckoning, if you use embalmed hands for anything, you deserve whatever is coming to you. So I thought that was a pretty interesting angle. Though I heard there was a bit of brouhaha over one of the cast members being transsexual. And this type of stuff always irritates me. Not the idea that you have an actor who's transsexual, but people are so up in arms and whiny about this. As far as I'm concerned, I treat transsexuality in the same way I treat homosexuality, which is to say, there are aspects of it I don't understand, but so what? There are plenty of things I don't understand. And if being transsexual is such a problem, then I guess I won't be transsexual. It's not something that plays a role in my life. In other words, I don't care. That actor isn't bothering me. They're just working. Why does their very presence bother other people? Though that being said, it did sour me a little on the movie. Once again, not because there's a transsexual actor in the movie, but because the whole issue and the way it's treated just bothers me. That being said, I did see it. And the movie is Australian, and it starts with a bunch of young people at a party. And I can hear their voices. And I was like, oh no, accents. If you've heard Australian people talk, sometimes their accent is so thick that they're hard to understand. And that's not in every case. It's the same way with British accents for me. So when I first heard these accents, I kind of winced a little bit. But they're not that rich. And so as you listen, what they say becomes clear. You may miss a word or two on occasion, but on the whole, it's not that bad. And from that party goes into an act of violence. And those two characters vanish from the movie. And I've seen other movies use this technique to begin. It's not at all uncommon, and it's oftentimes not done particularly well. Which is to say, those characters at the beginning need to be employed like Chekhov's gun, which is to say they have to appear at some later point. If they don't, there was no point in showing them in the first place, by my reckoning. And one of those characters who participated in the opening does reappear later in the movie, giving it context and making that scene that seemingly had no context rich. So that was well done, and it surprised me because Danny and Michael Philippou are very, and I hope I'm pronouncing their name right, it looks that way. In any case, they're very young directors, and that they got this right is something I see in movies by significantly more experienced directors not work out. So that was a really good sign. And what also struck me as pretty impressive about this movie is that it's done something with horror movies that I don't think I've ever seen before. Namely, it creates an analogy between what these young people are doing and drug addiction, which is really fascinating, clever, and once again, something I think that's beyond their years. In terms of just writing, it's really cleverly done. And keep in mind, that's just a way it can be interpreted. You cannot think that at all and have a great time with this movie. So, as I was saying, the movie revolves around Mia and her friends. There's a bit of information about Mia's upbringing. It doesn't quite work as well as I would have liked. It's not bad, but it kind of, the movie loses momentum when they start getting into her family life a little bit. But in any case, her mother committed suicide at one point, and this haunts her. And through playing with the embalmed hand, she's trying to reach her. And I should mention, Talk to Me does another thing that I have not seen prior in movies of this nature. Namely, it makes spirits bad. I mean, consistently bad. In fact, I would argue there are no good spirits in this entire movie. It doesn't do a Poltergeist 2, which is to say you have some figure come down in a ball of light to help her. Every spirit sucks. Everything they tell me of is typically designed to deceive her, to manipulate her. And as I said, this is really refreshing to see. And surprisingly unusual. I don't know why it's not more common in these type of movies. But I can't really recall one movie where you have spirits as duplicitous as they are here. Part of the reason I think it is unique, and actually it's probably not, but it feels unique, is because the characters tend to be very well drawn out. It feels like we're dealing with people. So therefore, when things happen to them, it has a kind of resonance that you don't typically get in these type of movies. In any case, the spirits are real bastards to a fault. Every single one. You cannot trust them. And you can't trust them even more when they're saying things that you want to hear. They're manipulative, and seemingly their entire goal is to have you join them. That's all they care about. And they will lie and say anything to you that they possibly can to make that happen. So that's really interesting. Another thing I enjoy about this movie is that I don't like the tendency in American film, typically, to treat children as if they're sacred cows. Which is to say, no harm can come of them. This is a movie. I do not want children to be hurt in real life. That being said, children in movies tend to be really fucking irritating and tiring to me. And so, when I see a movie where a child is treated particularly bad, I tend to enjoy it a little more. And there's a child in this movie who is just sent through the ringer, and it is horrific. But it is enjoyable, once again, because it's so rare. Talk to Me is just a trip and a half. It's a lot of fun, it's creepy, and I have to also mention Miranda Otto as the adopted mother of Mia is just incredible. She pops up on screen and at points steals the movie. And if she were in it more, it would likely be her movie. Which, once again, I gotta give credit to the Philippou brothers because they understand how to use this acting supernova, and you don't overdo it. So when Miranda Otto turns up, she is awesome, and she is funny, and she is perceptive, and she's one of the most interesting depictions of a mother I've seen in a movie, period. Never mind horror movie. In a movie in a while. She's smart, she's biting, she's just interesting. And I haven't seen mothers done like this typically. Once again, it does happen, but the way it works in this movie, it feels particularly interesting. And for a first feature, Talk to Me is just remarkable. It's like if you take the tripe, no offense, that James Wan typically does, and you just up the ante to about 12. Talk to Me is bold, it's interesting, it's well shot. I should mention, I oftentimes talk about how a movie is lit. This movie is particularly well lit, which is to say, you have night scenes and things happen in the dark, but it's shot in such a way that you can actually see what's happening. But it's not overlit, in which case things would appear almost as if they were happening in daylight, which is distracting, and I think it pulls you out of the movie. So, Talk to Me is great. Is it perfect? No, it is not. But the nitpicks are exactly that, nitpicks. If you have not seen Talk to Me, I hope you consider seeing it on National Cinema Day, which was yesterday. If you miss it yesterday, go see it in any case. This is a great movie to see in the theater. It is funny, it is harrowing, it is brutal. It's not that bloody though, which isn't to say there isn't blood, but that's not its modus operandi. It's not doing things just to have blood. It seems to me to be working very much in service to a really interesting story. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. And as usual, consider a like or a follow. Peace.